elections. And that is going to require active membership. People who are willing to leaflet, people who are willing to canvass, people who are willing to help run street stalls, to organise and attend party meetings in their area, to be active on social media, all the things that a functioning, campaigning socialist political party needs in order to be effective. For socialists, politics is not a spectator sport. We all need to be involved in the team. We all need to be on the field of play. So we've got plenty of people already involved in our group locally who are good at that stuff. So if you haven't done anything like that before, don't worry about it. There will be people who will be, working with you, and you will soon find what it is that you are good at, what it is that you like, because it needs to be fun, and I can assure you that lots of it is great fun interacting with people, the public, voters, and so on. So this is how you get involved. We are using a QR code for people to sign up, and there will be stewards around with these posters and with the small versions as well. If you point your camera on the phone at that, it will take you through to a sign-up process for the local group. We will ask you for your name, your email address, your telephone number, and your postcode. And the reason we need your postcode is that we want to know where you live on the Wirral, so that we can give you information about things that are happening in your local area. As Piara has mentioned, we're running 3 events called Politics in the Cafe, in Wallasey, in Birkenhead, and in West Kirby. And they are political discussion groups, no business, just political discussion groups. But we're also putting people in touch with each other in the local area that they live in. The Wirral Council election areas are called wards, and we're setting up ward groups for people who live in your particular area. So I live on the Leasowe, you may live in Clawton, in New Brighton, in Clatterbridge or whatever, and we will put you in touch with other socialists in your local area. There's no membership fee for signing up locally. We're hoping that you will join your party nationally. And when the structures of the new party are set up, we will be winding up our local organisation, and we will simply be participating in your party. So if you sign up, we can let you know what's going on in your area and put you in touch. If you don't live on the Wirral, and I think there are some people here today who are not from the Wirral, and you don't already have an equivalent organisation that you know of in your area, then contact us through our social media or through the email address that was on your ticket, and send us your name and your postcode, and we will do our best to put you in touch with people in your area. We do need money to organise some of our activities, for example, pay for rooms for meetings, and we're also building funds for elections, because we intend to be standing candidates in the council elections, which is going to be in May 2027 on the Wirral, and then there will be a general election, probably the following year, at the latest the year after that, and that is just enormously expensive. So stewards will be collecting at the entrance to the building at the end of the meeting. If you do have any funds that you can contribute, that would be most appreciated. So I hope that you will decide to be actively involved, that you will join your party nationally, and that you will sign up with us locally, and if you do, then we very much look forward to working with you. And it now is my absolute pleasure to introduce Jeremy Corbyn MP.
Thank you. Thanks very much for inviting me here, and great to see you here. And good, you've got a good turnout even on a Friday morning. And anything to me in Birkenhead and Wirral is fine. I've never forgotten Prenton Park and Wirral Live. That was some event. Also, the big rally we held in the 2017 election on the beach when the tide came in. That's the thing about tides, they come and go. So I want to say thank you, and we're doing a lot of meetings all over the country to get yourparty.uk underway. It is a fascinating and wonderful experience, but incredibly hard work, and we're doing meetings all over the country because I want to ensure that well before the conference, which is going to be at the end of November in Liverpool, we've got a lot of people mobilised, but we've also got a community and a culture surrounding the party of inclusivity, listening to each other, then agreeing how we take things forward. Because a lot of people are coming to meetings who have very, very different backgrounds and political experiences. Some have been in the Labour Party, but not all. Some have only ever been active in unions, again, but not all. Some have been in other left parties. Some have never been in anything, but very concerned about the way in which our society and the country is going and want to see a coherent political voice as an alternative. And so we have to ensure that when we set up our local events and set up our meetings, they're absolutely inclusive and they give space to everybody to express their views, because that is the only way we can build a serious alternative to what this government is doing. And it isn't just about opposition, it's also about the positive policies that we want to put forward. If you think why you've come here this morning, what your motivation is, I ask this question at lots of meetings. Often it's a disgust at the levels of child poverty and inequality within our society, the number of families that have to rely on food banks just to survive, the number of people who have disabilities or a member of their family with disabilities who are worried, quite rightly worried, about the potential loss of personal independence payments, as well as the difficulty of getting other benefits. The numbers of people in severe housing stress, particularly those living in the private rented sector, where the rents are going up well beyond the local housing allowance in many parts of the country, and they're having to subsidise their rent out of their benefits. It's that level of grinding poverty that exists in so many parts of the country, and we have to have an alternative to it, because the government has not actually done anything that even the very limited Labour manifesto of 2024 promised to do. They still have not got rid of the two-child benefit cap, which is so damaging to large families. And they backed off on taking personal independence payments away from people, and they tried to take $5 billion out of it because of the protests. But there is still a review going on, led by one government minister, Stephen Timms, but also with a lot of civil servants in it. Sorry guys, that is absolutely the wrong way to look at it. We have a problem of disability poverty all over the country. I would much rather, this is what we would do given the opportunity, and I'll come on to the opportunity in a moment, is to have a commission made up entirely of people with disabilities to look at their conditions, look at their lives, and make proposals for the future. If we believe in an inclusive society, we've got to be prepared to do it and pay for it. And so in advance of the ability to ensure that happens at either a local or a national level, I see no reason why, with a very large support base that we've got as yourparty.uk, we don't get in touch with all our members, which we're doing. Any of those that either in receipt of personal payments or whatever, take part in a campaign on it and come up with a series of proposals about how we would do things differently. We've got that sort of skill base within our support base and membership, which obviously we need to mobilise. And we need to have constructive plans as well on education. Now, yeah, we all believe in education, of course we do, but in reality, it's being privatised at two ends of the scale. Preschool education is largely not free, and for many parents in many parts of the country, they have to pay a phenomenal amount of money for either add-on bits of childcare in order just to work. So in my own constituency, I've got people that are doing two jobs, the second job solely to pay the nursery costs of their children. And so it's that sort of thing that we have to be aware of and looking at. So campaigns around proper preschool provision, and also ending university tuition fees, which are such a debarment on working class students going to university, then come out with debts of 70, 80, 90,000 pounds. And people said to me when I first proposed this ending of tuition fees and restoration of maintenance grants to university, they said, well, that's just helping middle class kids. I said, no, you haven't listened to what I said. You haven't listened to what the plan actually is.
The plan is to take away the fear factor of going to university from all young people, so they can all benefit from it if they can get into uni and do a degree. And do you know what? We'll benefit when you've got a good engineer, when you've got a good teacher, a good doctor, good nurse. We all benefit from that within our society. And so it is how we approach things that's so important. And so a fundamental message is about justice, poverty, and inequality within our society. There's now more billionaires in Britain than there's ever been. I don't see that as a good thing. I don't see that as a positive. Those billionaires have only become billionaires because they haven't been forced to pay the tax they should have been forced to pay, and in many cases squirrel their profits away to tax havens around the world. Let's be rational and radical about this. I don't want people on low incomes to pay more in tax. I want the tax threshold to rise to £15,000 to £20,000 and a much higher rate of tax at the other end, including levels of corporate taxation. That would make a massive difference to the lives of an awful lot of people in this country. So those are the sort of issues that we're putting forward. And we developed as a party because there needs to be an alternative. We have what I call in Parliament now a triopoly of policy making. As you know, my own experience was as leader of the Labour Party, and I'm proud of the policy changes we've managed to bring in to the Labour Party during the period that I was leader of it. And I'm also proud of the fact that the votes we got in 2017 particularly, but also 2019, was almost 1 million more than was achieved by Labour a year ago. And despite 5 years of unremitting media hostility to the party and to me personally and to many others. So I'm forever grateful for those hundreds of thousands of people all over the country that stood by the policies we were putting forward and showed real loyalty to a Labour Party based on class politics and based on economic redistribution of power and wealth. And that's what yourparty.uk is absolutely going to be. And as you know, I was told by Keir Starmer and the National Executive that I wasn't fit to be a public representative of the Labour Party and could not be a Labour candidate at a future election, which I thought was slightly unfair, particularly as they didn't even hear my voice on it. And I asked if I had a right to appeal against this decision, and they said no. So I wrote back and said, well, under the rules of natural justice, every accused person has a right of appeal, which is true. And they said, yeah, but you weren't aware that we introduced a new rule to take away the rule of natural justice. The rules of natural justice no longer apply within the Labour Party. Okay, that's when you're led by a human rights lawyer. Right, fantastic. And so I then said I would then not accept this, and I thought the people of my constituency, who I've represented since 1983, should at least have a say in the matter. And so I announced I would stand as an independent, and as you know, we won the election with a very large majority, thanks to the people of my area. And many in this room and other places who came and helped either online or came and physically did that. And so to me, that shows there is a thirst for something different. When I say triopoly of politics, I'm there in Parliament with my independent colleagues, the Independent Alliance group of MPs, and you listen. Economic policy, fundamentally no real difference between what Rachel Reeves is saying, what the Tories are saying, and what the Liberal Democrats are saying. Social policy, patronising, arrogant, as cold as charity in many cases, not that different between all three. International policies, not a lot of difference either. We need a different alternative voice there. We need that different alternative voice to be there in all of our communities, and we need it to be there in Parliament as well. But we don't achieve that just by contesting elections. We achieve that by building the culture of a local community-based yourparty.uk, if that's the name we end up with, that's open, democratic, and answerable to the local community. And my insistence is that suppose we have a branch on the Wirral, or we have different ones on the world. We can work all that out. That's a matter for discussion and debate. We can do that. I would insist that every single one of those branches, wherever they are, has at least one open public event every month where the local community can come along, raise their concerns, join the party if they wish to, but make demands on us as well. So we're built into the whole system is accountability to our local community. That's what's different. And so we'll be that alternative voice. And I'm determined we shall be that. And so we've now been through a whole range of public events all over the country, and most of them, all of them are absolutely enormous. Every hall that we book is completely booked out straight away, and we're getting it. We had virtually 1,000 in St George's Hall last week. We had 1,000 in Birmingham last Sunday. We had 400 in Southall on Monday night, and so on all around the country. We're doing that. And now we're moving into what we call the deliberative stage, and today is almost the start of that kind of thing, where you give your ideas and what you want from the party, how you think it should be organised, and what you think it should do. And you know what? This is going to be the development of a community of confidence, a community of demands, a community of social justice. So Reform, who offer nothing other than flags you can't eat. You know, if you're hungry, eating a flag doesn't get you very far. To me, this sort of idea of faux patriotism doesn't really work. I was asked once by the Daily Mail, are you a patriot? Really aggressive, they were. Really rude, actually. It was shocking. I said, are you a patriot? I said, yeah, absolutely a patriot. Prove it. I said, I want to be very proud of my country. I want to be very proud of my country. When there's no hungry children, no homeless people, we've ended the mental health crisis, and we have everybody decently fed and decently housed, and we don't patronise others. That's what patriotism really should be about. So I'll stop there because there's lots we could do. We're going to do a repeat of this after this one's finished, and then I'm going to Manchester, and we're doing stuff for the World Transformed there. Then we've got a good meeting tonight in Bolton, and then tomorrow, big demonstration for Palestine, because I can't be the only person that's unbelievably disgusted of watching on television, live stream, children dying from genocide, from weapons that we have supplied. We can do things better, we can do things differently, and that's what your party is about. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure. Question, discussion. Should we move forward? Yeah. We feel a bit like this sort of condemned. We look like the sort of list of the people that are condemned at the back have been brought forward for execution.
At the back.
Is this one working? Yes. Shukri's going to come round with the mic. We're going to take questions
Questions or ideas as well.
Yeah, 3 at a time. I think is that Nora? I think I can recognise.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. I was wondering if you could say a bit about how you intend to address and challenge elitism and sexism within your party, specifically among the leadership, because in my experience, I think a lot of people with significant political and social capital among the left, be it union leadership, media, seem to think that they have that power because they're more experienced or knowledgeable than the rest of us, which is obviously rubbish, and it just fills me, I want to get involved, but I also have quite a bit of distrust of people who patronise me and many of us, and I think inclusivity is not just about allowing us to bring our ideas, but also being honest about, I guess, also some of the conflicts that are happening, being transparent and, standing up, I guess, to arrogant people and challenging them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to pass the mic to the gentleman to your right?
Yes, I just want to look for an event coming up, which will be in Huddersfield. It's going to be a launch march, like a march to launch your party in the north, which Zara Sultana is going to be speaking at, and I think that's really crucial because, of course, contesting elections, fighting in elections, very.
Give us the date.
18th of October. Yeah, 18th of October. Obviously, elections are important, but it's also about building the fight back on the streets and connecting that to your party. And just a quick question, what does Jeremy in particular think about the call for your party to organise a national demonstration itself against the far right? You know, we saw Tommy Robinson, you know, and the racists and the far right marching in London. You know, if we use the 800,000 who signed up and shown interest, you know, do we not think that we could significantly outnumber, you know, these racist forces on the streets? So, yeah, just a bit of a question to finish that off with.
Thank you. And the third question from Lynn, who's on your left. Shukri, thank you.
Hello. Yes. My question, Lynn from your party, and first question is, should your party that your party should take the position of no to